So, now that we've got our lovely piece of audio added into Adobe Audition, it's time to learn how to start doing some basic editing on it. We can go ahead and hit play to hear what this clip sounds like before we do any editing.
Test number 1.
And as you can hear that there's a bit of silence towards the end of this piece of audio. So, in order to trim from the end, all we have to do is select this bit and then hit delete, just like that. And you can do this for any section. Say, for example, we want to delete some out of the middle, we can just select right there and hit delete. And now if we go ahead and play it back by clicking and dragging our meter back to the beginning of the audio and hitting play.
Test number 1.
You can hear that there's a little bit of a clip. If we wanted to take a little bit more out of there, we can grab a big section like that. And as you can hear,
Test 1.
it'll cut out some of the audio. We can go back through our history tab to go back to where we just wanted to get rid of that original piece of silence at the end, and we can deselect that. And this is back to what we wanted with just
Test number 1.
just like that. If we wanted to, for example, fade in the front, we can just grab a hold of this icon right here and drag it along, and as you can see, the waveform will fade appropriately. And I'm just going to make it a fairly linear value. However, if you drag up or down, you can get different effects. So if we drag it very far up, it means it'll fade very quickly in, and then the last little bit of the volume will slowly fade. Or if we go like this, it'll stay very silent and then fade in very quickly right at the end. Essentially, it follows the shape of the curve. So I'm going to go fairly linear because we don't need it to do anything spectacular. And as you can hear, if we do that,
Test number 1.
the audio fades in. Whereas in comparison to without that,
Test number 1.
it's louder at the beginning. Very similar on the other end here as we just drag this bar, and maybe we want to make it fade out quickly towards the end and just slowly towards the beginning.
Test number 1.
And you can hear how quickly it fades out right at the end there. So that is how to do some basic fades and cuts inside of the waveform. Let's go to the multitrack. Alright, we're back to the multitrack, and we've got our audio in just as we want, and we're going to do the same thing, but in the multitrack. So we want to clip off the end of this audio here, so we're just going to click this until there's that icon, and just click and drag, and we can drag as far as we need. We're just going to put it to right there, and that'll cut off the end silence. Now, if we wanted to cut off some of the middle, we're going to have to take our cursor here and drag it to somewhere in the middle. And at this point, we can go to Clip, Split, or Control-K, which is much faster. So I'm just going to click this, and that splits the piece of audio into two separate bits of audio that we can move around anywhere we want. So then we're going to keep that snapped to where it was, and then just go to another section right there, and do the same thing. Control-K to split it. And now we've got this piece of audio which we can then hit delete to delete, and now bring that back in and snap it. So now we've got to cut a piece out of the middle of the audio.
Test number 1.
And you can hear that the cut is there. We can hit Control-Z a bunch of times to undo that and rejoin the clips. And then we're going to be talking about fading in and out next. It's very similar to the waveform. All you have to do is drag this in or out, and as you notice, it doesn't actually change the shape of the waveform this time because, again, multi-track recording is a non-destructive type of editing, whereas waveform is going to actually be changing the physical file that you're dealing with, provided you save. So, as you can see, that there's the fade in, and at this one we can actually change it any time we want, which is quite nice. And you can hear
Test number 1.
the audio fades in, and if we want, we can do a fade out instead.
Test number 1.
And you can hear that it fades out just like that. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.